Hey, what's up? So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the future of beating COVID. Very exciting opportunity for the world right now in terms of changing our understanding of how we might treat these really bad pandemics. Now, the current slew of options is to essentially develop a vaccine. And in developing this vaccine, there's a lot of guessing that has to happen. There is which strain of the flu is going to be the one that takes off and which one is going to be the one that doesn't. And really, this is not the kind of situation we want to be in with now close to 9 billion humans on this planet. We're really looking at a very interesting, almost dangerous guessing game here, where if we don't get the right vaccine, then what we're looking at is a complete miss. And essentially what that translates to is this thing just going on forever. Now, I think that there's an alternative to the situation. And when it comes to dealing with a virus, the biggest symptom is, well, in this case, there's actually quite a lot of symptoms with this particular strain, and all of these symptoms can be mediated by something called vagus nerve stimulation. Now, you're probably wondering, what is that? Or maybe you know what that is already, but you might not know that it's already been shown that within a few hours of administering an electrical pulse through the vagus nerve, in this case through the ear, very easy target with a handheld, very affordable piece of technology, that the symptoms have been able to be cleared within a few hours of starting. In the fastest case, within a few hours. In the slowest case, within about a day or two. This means the persistent cough, the shortness of breath, the lethargy, the nausea, the fever, sweats, all these kinds of things can go away with vagus nerve stimulation. And we are, as a collective society right now, looking at a few options when it comes to vaccines. Now, a lot of people don't really want to get vaccinated. They don't want to have some random vaccine put in their body that they don't know. You know this thing's probably going to be rushed. So a lot of people are having doubts that this is a good option, okay? And in a lot of ways, that's probably a fair position to take here. Now, what I want to talk about is something I recently spoke about on my podcast, the Vagus Nerve podcast, and it comes down to the fact that it may come to the point where we do need to negotiate with the powers that be, aka the government, what we are going to accept into our bodies versus what we won't accept. So it may come down to the fact that a vaccine may be required. Now, in order for them to be sure that our very important vaccines are up to date, is that they might have to put a chip in your hand. And a lot of people think that's the mark of the beast or whatever, but I really don't know enough about it to say either way. But I'm opposed to a chip in the hand, but not for that reason. Hear me out. The real reason why getting a chip in your hand is a stupid thing is because a chip does nothing for me as the recipient. If I'm going to have the government paying likely hundreds of dollars to pay for the surgery of getting a chip implanted in my hand and shouldering the responsibility and liability of that, why would I fight tooth and nail against that when it's pretty simple for them to just say, well, if you don't like it, then you're not in the system anymore. So you don't want to be arguing over something that banal and that stupid. What you really want to actually fight over is, okay, well, look, maybe you will mandate some kind of an implant in my body. Why would I accept a little piece of rice that's semi-dumb, that does nothing for me, when there are devices that you can implant in your body that actually do a lot? And in particular, a vagus nerve stimulator comes to mind. So did you know that with a vagus nerve stimulator, you can actually lose weight? You can cure depression? You can completely remove any kind of like inflammatory disorders that come from vagus nerve dysfunction. You can do a lot of cool stuff with a vagus nerve stimulator in your body. And it's like a lot of people want to lose weight because they know that they would like to slim down, they would like to look better in life, but it's hard. That's tough. It's difficult to lose weight. It's a fact. Now, essentially, if you had a vagus nerve implant in your body, then you could naturally lose weight without going on a diet. I would always recommend that you change what kind of food you're eating. But imagine that you were just less hungry and you weren't as craving of the sugary items that you once had before. You weren't so, out of control and binging because you had a vagus nerve stimulator in your body. This is literally what happens. Let's say that you are really depressed and everybody says, oh, you should meditate. It's just going to cure everything for you. But we know that that's just not true. In a lot of cases, it's difficult to meditate. With a vagus nerve stimulator implanted in your body, you don't have to meditate. And in fact, it makes meditation a lot easier, because the reason meditation is so hard, which is counterproductive, is that when your mind is overactive and thinking about everything, it becomes very difficult to sit and be with your own mind. Vagus nerve stimulation immediately lowers the noise in your head right off the bat. It just lowers the noise. It makes meditation easier to do vagus nerve. When you do vagus nerve stimulation, it makes meditation easier, quieter, and way more effective. Probably like 5 times more effective. We're talking a huge multiple increase with just vagus nerve stimulation, okay? So that's how powerful this technology is. Now, and it's out there. It's already been implanted, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of people already. And it's a smart technology. The other thing that it can potentially do with the right kind of device is it can actually record your vagus nerve, not just stimulate. So this is a bi-directional device, a neural stimulator and a neural recorder. Now, if you can record your vagus nerve when it's at its best, then you know what signal you need to send back into it when it's at its worst to make it its best again. It's like if you have a song that you love listening to, you're definitely going to want to pull that recording out on a bad day and listen to it again, right? Who wouldn't want to hear their favorite song in the world on a bad day? It's almost going to naturally cheer you up. So imagine that, but for your health, for your body. When you're feeling like sick and tired and in chronic pain, what if we could just play back the signal of your body back to you and make you feel good again? Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be something? So that is the potential here with vagus nerve stimulation. Absolutely. Yeah, so you can essentially play back certain states of your autonomic nervous system. Can completely reduce stress, make you more empathetic, make you pro-social, make you very sociable with people around you, make you an influencer. Holy cow. I think that if we look back 10 years from now on this decade, you will see some incredible results coming out of people who utilized vagus nerve stimulation. That's a fact. I would bet money that you will see the people who have vagus nerve stimulation in their arsenal as an active practice will be like a little bit like the future generation of transhumanists, people who have transcended some of their human nature, some of their human inability, and have transcended that to become more than they ever thought that they could be. So this is our potential future here, actually. This is really, truly an amazing time. Now, what does this have to do with a vaccine? Well, it's like I said, it's already been shown that by stimulating your vagus nerve, you can reduce the symptoms almost entirely of a certain pandemic that's going around. They might call it the Rona. Now, with this specific technology implanted in people, you could not only treat it immediately without you having to go to the hospital, but you could also have an early detection system, meaning that if you caught it, that it would be able to detect it before you even felt any symptoms, because the vagus nerve is like your first responder, your first layer of detection of an illness. So when you start getting sick and not feeling very good, your vagus nerve immediately kicks in and starts saying, uh-oh, we got to start creating antibodies. We got to start creating inflammatory cytokines to attack the virus. That's what your vagus nerve does. That's what it's responsible for. So, there's this hypothesis that says that any time an infection occurs in your body, the first target of that infection is your vagus nerve, actually. Isn't that interesting? So I was just explaining this to a client over the phone that think of a bank heist. Think of a movie about robbing a bank. Now, we've all seen a movie like that, haven't we? What's one of the main things that the robbers do with a can of spray paint? Think about it. What does a robber do at a bank with a can of spray paint? You got it. They go up to the security cameras and they go, psh, like that. And they spray it and they close it. That gives them some extra time so that they can get away with what they're doing without alerting too much suspicion, right? Not enough. And also preventing response, the proper response. Now, your vagus nerve is like a security camera throughout your entire body. It detects the blood, it detects the air you're breathing, it detects anything in your plasma and your neurology that might be a danger to your whole system. And as soon as it detects it, it starts sending responsive macrophages to white blood cells to kill it, to attack it, to check it out, and eventually remove it. So, if I knew that the vagus nerve was the first responder and I had an option, I could go for the big, juicy, meaty target of normal, maybe more lucrative cells that I would want to attack as a virus to reproduce, or the first place I could go is to knock out the security system for the body. Which one do you think you would choose, given the option? Given that your outcome is success, given that you want to succeed, you want to kick some butt, I would go for the vagus nerve. So there is a hypothesis that says that the vagus nerve is one of the first places that an infection, a successful infection, will go, especially a viral one. So that is why the vagus nerve is so important, because it's the first thing that gets impaired, and it's the first thing that when it goes allows these things to be so freaking horrible for your system, for your body. They're not fun. They're not good. You don't want it. I promise. You do not want this thing. So where does that leave us now? Well, okay. So here we are. We're back again. Why is this important? Why is this relevant? Why is this even worth considering? Well, here's the thing. the government may decide that everybody needs to be chipped, everybody needs a vaccine, and you'll say no. And you'll argue and you'll negotiate with them over, no, my position is nothing. And they'll say, well, all our position is just a little pinprick and a little extra one with a chip in it, and that's it. Or maybe a tattoo or something like that. Who knows, right? Like infrared tattoo. But that does nothing for you, really. It only could impair your health. Honestly, when it comes to that, there's a lot of downsides. There's very little upside for you. You're talking about shouldering massive risk for the potential upside of the collective. So it's very much a collective play. Now, here's the deal. If I were going to negotiate with a government that was hell-bent on doing some kind of a surgery on me, I would absolutely demand a really amazing Cadillac vagus nerve stimulator implanted in my body at the expense of the government. Because look, you don't think they can afford it? You don't think they can do this? The bailout of Wall Street cost $18,000 per American. That's what it costs. That's the bill that you got charged. You and I, as Americans, got charged 18 grand on our credit card by the government to try and save us from this thing. Now, guess how much a vagus nerve implant would cost you if you wanted one today? $16,000. So for $16,000, the government could implant a vagus nerve stimulator in every human and every American for free, and shoulder the full responsibility, help us lose weight, not be depressed, be superhuman, be smart again, be highly resistant to illness, and essentially not have the mark of the beast in our bodies, because these things are not scannable. Though they're not like things that are like RF readers, right? So these are not like marks of the beast. They essentially like are directly monitoring for a specific virus in your body, which will have telltale signs on your vagus nerve. So when a virus goes into your vagus nerve and it starts going up it, the vagus nerve is going to start sending up electrical signals into your brain, which you can't detect. Like, there's a lot going on in your body that you are not designed to detect, but an implant that wraps around your vagus nerve, which is listening to it all the time, would be able to detect specific signatures of different viruses and flus and colds and illnesses and whatever the heck. Probably even like early onset detection of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cancer, anything like that, anything. Respiratory difficulties, heart failure. There's probably a lot of stuff that would be detectable on your vagus nerve, like maybe months in advance. And we could even work out stimulation patterns that would fix those issues rather than doing expensive surgery after the fact. Same thing with pills. You don't have to take pills anymore. Nasty pills. Just send an electrical signal on your vagus nerve in your neck. Simple. Send a stimulation pattern in your neck to stimulate your vagus nerve. Fix the issue. So ultimately, what we're looking at here is a future where, rather than negotiating with the government to not get an implant that is stupid and does nothing for you, which is a really bad negotiating standpoint, because all you're saying is no, and the government says yes, and ultimately each individual watching this, you're probably not going to have the kind of institutional power to stop that. So my recommendation is that you say yes, and what else will you do for me? If you're going to do surgery, if you're going to change the entire relationship between humans and our government. What are you going to do for me? I'm not going to give all that up for nothing. You say yes, and yes, I'll take the implant, and I want it to be intelligent, stimulating, recording, amazing, and I want you to shoulder the cost of it, and I want you to shoulder the responsibility and liability. That's what you demand. You say yes, and you say no to the little stuff. No, I want more than that. If you're going to be doing surgery on my body, I want the Cadillac. I want the Cadillac device in my body. This is how the future will be rolled in with this kind of a solution. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found this illuminating in some way. If you do, then I would definitely recommend you look more into the possibilities of vagus nerve stimulation. You'll actually find that it's quite incredible what can be done with this technology. So I'm very excited about it. I think that the future will be in the vagus nerve, and we'll see what happens. You know, when arguing with the government or negotiating with it, it's always a difficult thing. But if we look back at Benjamin Franklin and 1776, you know, we get to see just how much people themselves can actually change the course of history. And I think that together, if we're smart and we say yes and, then we can really drastically change the world. Imagine billions of people implanted with their own personal vagus nerve stimulator. Again, there are already hundreds of thousands of people walking around with these things. They're not, and for people wondering, like, can I do mind control with this? No, you can't. You can't do mind control with a vagus nerve stimulator. Not possible. It doesn't impact your thoughts like that. It essentially calms down the signals going to your brain. If anything, it makes you more intelligent. It makes you more agile. It makes you more friendly. It's an upgrade. I guarantee you, it is an upgrade of life. It is 100% an upgrade. So I'm very long for vagus nerve stimulation. So anyway, that's it for today, and more to come. We will see what 2020 holds and what the future will really look like. So thanks so much. Take care. Bye.